Today we're making shakshuka or baked eggs. It's one of those dishes that's perfect for storing and reheating. There's not much to it. All of the ingredients are laid out in front of me right here. There's 270 calories per portion and 17 grams of protein, and it's the perfect start to your day. Starting out with our prep, we're going to need one red onion. This is on the larger side. Take off the tip, leave the root intact, and then make thin slices across, stopping at that root. Do the horizontal slice if you like to do it, and then dice this into small to medium sized pieces. You should have something that looks like this. Now with our red bell pepper or capsicum, it's on the larger side as well. We're going to slice around that core. It's just an easier and cleaner way to reduce the amount of seeds and pith that we have left in our flesh. When they're nicely cleaned up, slice them into thin, even sized strips. Rotate those strips 90 degrees and then dice into the same size pieces as the red onion. And again, should have something that looks like this. The amount of garlic that you use for this recipe really does depend on your preference. I'm using 8 cloves and I'm crushing them with the side of a knife to activate the allicin compound, and then giving these a rough chop just until they're nice and fine. Doesn't have to be too perfect, and you can also grate it if you wanted to. I know some people don't like coriander or cilantro, so you don't have to use it if you are one of those people, but we're using the whole bunch, and this is going to be the roots and the stems, just roughly chopped up. If you've never used these before, they're fantastic in sauces. And then with the leaves, these can just be given a rough chop, and we're going to use this at the end of our sauce, as well as a garnish at the very end. Like I said, if you don't like it, you do not have to use it. For our eggs, place a saucepan of water over a high heat and bring it up to a boil. And in the meantime, we can fill a bowl of cold water up with some ice cubes. What this is going to do is shock our eggs and stop them from cooking any further, so we get that really nice runny yolk every single time. When the water's at a boil, add in 1.5 tablespoons of white vinegar. This is going to help coagulate the egg and hold its shape. Spin the water into a vortex, which will also help hold the shape, which you don't have to do if you don't want to. And then crack in 10 whole eggs. If your pot's too small, you can do this in batches just to prevent things from getting messy. Cook them for about 2 to 2.5 minutes. That'll be a really nice soft yolk. If you prefer them cooked longer, then go for it. But once they're cooked, remove them from the water and place them into the ice cold water to stop them from cooking. Once you have all of that done, we can pop these aside and we'll come back to these right at the end. For our shakshuka sauce, place a large high-rimmed pan or pot over a medium-high heat. Add in some spray oil. I'm using non-aerosol avocado oil here, but you can use any of your choice. Add in the onions and the bell peppers, as well as a nice little pinch of salt. We're going to saute this for about 3 to 4 minutes, mixing it around, only really concentrating on that onion. We want that to get nice and translucent. Now, if there's certain ingredients in this recipe that you don't like, you're more than welcome to swap them out. It's really easy to do so. I used to not like capsicums or bell peppers, so if you don't want to use that, you really don't have to. After about 3 to 4 minutes, we can add in the garlic, depending on how much you like to use, as well as the coriander or cilantro root and stems. Mix this around and then cook it for about 1 minute to 1.5 minutes. Make sure you keep it moving, that way the garlic won't burn. Then we can add in 3 teaspoons of ground cumin, 3 teaspoons of smoked paprika or sweet paprika, 1 teaspoon of dried chili flakes, which is completely optional, and then mix and continue cooking for a further 1 minute to toast the spices and allow those flavors to become friends. At this point, we can add in 3 cans or 1.2 kilos of diced or crushed tomatoes. You can rinse it out of a bit of water or stock to reduce waste, as well as 3/4 cup of chicken or vegetable stock. Mix this all around and we're going to bring it up to a boil. And you can season to taste with salt, and you can add a little bit of sugar here if you find that your tomatoes are too acidic, but you shouldn't need to, as well as a little bit of cracked black pepper. Continue mixing this around, bring it up to a boil, and then we're going to reduce the heat to low, place on a lid. Cook this for about 20 minutes to reduce and thicken. After 20 minutes, carefully remove the lid, just be careful of anything spitting up. Give it another mix through to make sure all of those flavors are well combined, and you can double check it for seasoning here, adjusting if necessary. Turn it off the heat and add in the coriander or cilantro leaves. I am going to leave a little bit behind so I can use it as garnish, or you can just chop more, that's up to you. Mix that all through one last time. You should have a nice thick sauce that looks like this, that we can remove from the stovetop. Now I'm using 5 750 milliliter Louvelli containers, and this is 250 grams or 8.8 ounces of the shakshuka sauce per container. On top of that, we're going to add in 2 of the poached eggs per container, and then I'm adding a little bit of feta cheese. If you're in Australia, I'm using Persian feta, but it's usually just marinated feta, and I use roughly 20 to 30 grams per container. Hit it up with a little bit of cracked black pepper on top of those eggs, and we can finish it off with the remaining coriander or cilantro leaves. And what that leaves us is this delicious shakshuka. It's 270 calories per portion, and all of the remaining macros as well as the full written recipe is in the link in the description. With storing, allow these to cool down for about 30 to 40 minutes before placing on the lids, and these will last 3 days in the fridge and 3 months in the freezer. I'm also using Louvelli vacuum seal pump here just to get an extra day out of it, and the link for the containers as well as the pump is in the description. Now for reheating, you can do it in a microwave or a pan. If you're doing it in a microwave, just cover with some paper towel. It's going to prevent things from splatting everywhere and for that egg exploding. And for the pan, medium-low heat to medium heat. Just heat it up till it's nice and hot, and you can add a splash of water or stock to rehydrate things. With all said and done, there is only one thing left to do, and that is we can then dig in. Honestly, the flavor in there is incredible. It's extremely simple to make. The yolk just oozes through there, increasing the flavor. The feta cheese adds that really nice bite to it as well. Of course, you don't have to use it. And then the coriander just adds that real freshness. Definitely make it. It's absolutely delicious.